The face in the market, the twin suns of Talros 9, hung low in the sky, casting long golden shadows over the crowded market. Creatures from 100 different worlds filled the streets, some tall and scaled, others with soft fur or metallic limbs. The scent of alien spices, burning oil, and strange meats floated in the air. Cade pushed through the crowd, silently. He wasn't here to buy. He was here for one reason: revenge. For 100 years he had searched. From burned-out colonies to floating space wrecks, from black market worlds to war-torn moons, the trail was always cold. The enemy had vanished like a ghost. But Cade never gave up, not after what happened to Earth. Not after what that thing did. Then something hit him. A smell. It struck him like a punch to the chest. Cade stopped walking. His heartbeat slowed. His fingers twitched near his coat, where he kept a plasma blade hidden. No mistake. He knew this scent. It was old blood, mixed with smoke. Burnt ash and betrayal. It smelled exactly like that day when the Earth cities burned. And the sky was red with fire. He turned slowly, eyes scanning the market. And then he saw her. Or maybe it. A masked vendor stood behind a table covered in small glowing orbs. Her skin was pale gray, her eyes large and blue, her body tall and slim. She looked like any other merchant, but Cade didn't care about the face. He wasn't fooled by faces anymore. It had been 100 years after all. The creature could have taken any form by now. New body, new voice, even new DNA. But the scent was the same. Cade's hand twitched again. He stepped closer, moving through the crowd like a shadow. His heart thudded in his chest. He was close. So close. The alien turned slightly, her eyes sweeping the market, and for a single heartbeat, she froze. It was tiny. Just a flicker of recognition. But Cade saw it. She knew him. She knew she had been found. Cade stopped just a few steps from her. Table. His voice was low, calm, but sharp like broken glass. "You think a new face hides you?" he said. "I'd know the scent of your blood even after a century." The vendor's eyes widened. She stepped back, but her hand moved fast under the table to a hidden switch. The stall exploded in smoke. The air turned white and thick. Creatures screamed. Some fell to the ground. Cade covered his mouth and moved fast through the smoke, but she was already gone. He chased, down narrow streets, over rusted bridges, through dark alleys lined with flickering neon lights. But she was fast. Too fast for someone pretending to be a vendor. This one had training. Cade followed until the trail ended at a dead-end wall, just stone and silence. Looked around. Nothing. But he knew better. He walked to the wall and placed a hand on it. Still warm. She had used a warp field. Gone, for now. Cade didn't speak. He only stood there, breathing in the last of that fading scent. His fingers brushed the wall once more. Then he turned and walked away. He didn't smile. He didn't curse. But deep inside, something burned again. He had found her. After all this time, he finally found her. The ghost of Earth's betrayal. The monster with a new face. But her blood never changed. And Cade had waited a long time. The mask slips. The night on Talros 9 came fast. The twin suns disappeared behind the acid-blue mountains, and the glowing streetlights of the lower levels buzzed to life. Cade sat alone on the rooftop of an old data tower, his eyes scanning the streets below. The city never stopped moving. Ships flew overhead. Neon signs blinked in a dozen languages. The scent was gone now, lost in the wind, but he had seen her eyes. She knew who he was. That 1 second of fear told him everything. He reached into his coat and pulled out a thin silver chip. He pressed it behind his ear. The device blinked green and hummed softly. A moment later, a cold voice entered his ear. still breathing. Cade, I thought your bones would have turned to dust by now. Cade smirked slightly. I found her, Ghost. The scent, it's real. The voice paused. After all these years, Ghost wasn't a person. It was a war AI, once connected to Earth's Black Ops network. When Earth fell, Ghost survived, broken, angry, and hiding in the stars. Now, it lived inside stolen satellites and dead drones, and it still remembered the enemy. You sure it's her? Ghost asked. Same blood, Cade whispered. Same fear in her eyes. She changed her body, maybe even her race. But you can't change scent. Ghost ran a background scan of the market footage Cade uploaded. It zoomed in on the vendors' face, then tried to cross-match her features with known species. Nothing matched. Her body doesn't exist in any database, Ghost said. That means she's using a shapeskin or grown flesh. Possibly stolen genes. High-level biomimicry tech. Cade clenched his jaw. Only one group used that tech during the century. War, the Shadari. The name burned like acid on his tongue. The Shadari had once been allies, friendly diplomats. They shared tech with Earth. They spoke of peace and progress. Then one day, they opened the back gates to the enemy fleet. Earth's defense grid went down in minutes dot, and the fire began. Cities vanished. Oceans boiled. Cade watched his home burn while the Shadari, Ambassador, his friend, stood smiling. He never forgot her voice. He never forgot that scent. Ghost's voice returned, sharp and direct. Then we'll draw her out. Later that night, Cade entered the underground trade sector known as the Crawl. The air was thick with smoke and neon gas. Black market traders sold illegal weapons, ancient relics, and cloned organs. He found what he was looking for, a nervous, bug-eyed dealer with yellow skin and 6 arms. His name was Refo. Refo squealed when he saw Cade. No trouble. No trouble. Here, Cade held up a memory chip. This has 10,000 credits. I need to know who vanished from the East Market right before the smoke bomb went off. Refo blinked his big eyes. He twitched his antennae. Lots of vanishings, friend. Smoke makes many disappear. Cade didn't blink. He stepped forward and pressed a cold blade gently against Refo's neck. The one with blue eyes, gray skin, a new face but old blood. Refo squealed louder now. Okay. I don't know her name, but she's not local. Rents a shadow flat in Sector 13. Never eats, never sleeps, just watches. Cade's eyes darkened. He handed Refo the chip and walked away without another word. Sector 13. It was the oldest part of the city. Half the buildings were falling apart. The walls were covered in faded war symbols from battles long forgotten. Cade stood in front of the building Refo described. 3 floors, dark windows. 1 door, barely working. He didn't wait. He kicked the door in and moved fast. Inside, nothing. Just silence, a broken table, a metal chair. Then something sharp hit his shoulder. He spun, pulling his blade, and came face to face with her same eyes. Same fear. She was faster this time, moving like a ghost, a blade flashing in her hand. They fought in the dark, shadows dancing on the walls. Her strikes were clean, quiet military style. She was trained, just like he remembered. Cade blocked her final swing and grabbed her wrist. For a second, they froze, breathing, staring, and she whispered, I warned them. I begged them to spare your world. They didn't listen. You should have died with it. Cade's grip tightened. Too bad for you, I didn't. She slipped from his hand and dove through the window. Cade ran to the edge, but she had vanished again, leaving only a smear of blood on the glass. And this time, he smiled, because now he had more than scent. Now, He had her DNA dot memories. Burn thee. Blood on the window was still warm. Cade took a small vial from his belt and wiped the smear into it. His hands moved fast, no hesitation. He had done this before, many times, but this time was different. This blood wasn't from a criminal. It wasn't from a wild alien beast. It belonged to a traitor, a shapeshifter, a creature who helped destroy Earth. Now she was bleeding again. Cade looked up at the stars above the broken city. The wind howled through the empty buildings of Sector 13. The stars reminded him of fire, of burning cities, of his sister screaming. His hands curled into fists. He turned, walked away. It was time to wake the ghost. 2 hours later, deep in the scrapyard of Talros 9, Cade stood before a black metal box buried under broken ship parts. It looked like trash, but it wasn't. It was a secret, and it was alive. He placed his hand on the metal. The box vibrated softly. Then a voice came through a speaker, cold, sharp, and mechanical. "Welcome back, Cade." "Ghost," Cade said. "I have her blood." There was silence. Then the door of the box opened slowly with a hiss. Inside was a chamber glowing blue. Screens, cables, memory cores from Earth's lost war machines. This was Ghost's core, his body, if you could call it that. Cade stepped inside. A drone floated toward him and took the blood vial. It zipped into a scanner. Lights flashed. "Confirmed," Ghost said. "Genetic match to subject. Valari Prime, also known as the Shadari Ambassador. Earth traitor. War criminal. Presumed dead." Cade shook his head. "She's alive, and she's still running." Ghost's voice turned colder. "She shouldn't." The Shadari were extinct. After Earth fell, their homeworld was destroyed. But she survived, and changed. Cade stared at the screen as data flowed across it. Something new appeared. Overlays showing multiple species woven into one. Spliced, upgraded, hidden behind fresh faces. "She's not just hiding," Cade said. "She's evolving." Ghost buzzed sharply. "No ordinary tech can do this. This isn't shapeshifting. It's rebirth. Controlled transformation at the cellular level. A hybrid monster, with a human memory still hunting her." Cade didn't flinch. "I want to burn those memories into her soul." Flashback. 100 years ago, the Earth sky was red. Ships fell from orbit like burning comets. Cade was young then, barely a soldier. He ran through fire and screams. Civilians lay crushed under rubble. And in the smoke, he saw her. Valari. She wore a white diplomatic robe. No fear on her face, only silence. "You said you would protect." "You?" he shouted at her. Hilari's voice was calm, cold. "Earth needed to fall. Your people were spreading too fast. Too wild. Too human." She turned and walked into a shuttle as Earth's sky broke apart. Cade never forgot. Back to now. The scanner beeped again. Ghost's tone changed. "Cade, her DNA shows something worse." "What?" "It's ancient." Cade leaned closer. "She's not just Shadari. She's mixed herself with something older. Something that existed before. Earth. A predator species long erased from galactic history." Ghost paused. "She's becoming one of them." Cade's breath slowed. His voice dropped. "Then I'll stop her, before the next version of her wakes up." Ghost opened a vault drawer. Inside was a thin blade, silver, glowing with a blue line down the center. Old tech. From the Ghost Vault, only made for one purpose. Cade took it without a word. It hummed in his hand, like it recognized him. "You're hunting something ancient," Ghost said. "Be careful." Cade stared at the blade. "I'm not afraid of old monsters." He walked out of the chamber, the wind lifting his coat. Behind him, the voice of the AI whispered, she should be afraid of you. Across the city, VLAR, I sat in the center of a dim room. Her form had changed again. Now her skin was darker, her eyes glowing. Bone-like ridges lined her back. Her hands trembled as new organs formed inside her. She breathed heavily. Each breath was a fight against her past and against what she was becoming. She touched her stomach where the blade had cut her. He shouldn't be alive, she whispered. Not after all this time. She closed her eyes, and remembered Earth's screams. Old blood in new armorcade stood before the mirror in the ghost vault. His reflection didn't look like a man anymore. The armor was black and silver, made from forgotten metals lost during the Earth Wars, thin but strong. It moved with him silent as shadow. Lines of blue light ran across his chest and arms. Inside, the suit was wired directly to his nerves. He felt every movement as if it were his own skin. Ghost's voice echoed. In the room. Armor status, sensed. Combat ready. Death ratio potential, 98.7%. Cade smirked. Let's make it 100. This armor wasn't just protection. It was legacy. It had belonged to Earth's final shadow unit, the Hollow Division. Soldiers. Built for one thing, revenge. Cade had found their broken gear across a battlefield on Titan. Now, he wore their memory like a second skin. The war might be over. But KWASN single quotes T. in the ruins of Sector 12. Valari moved slowly through a forgotten hall. Her transformation was still changing her. Her arms stretched unnaturally. Her skin shimmered like oil. Her heartbeat didn't sound human or Shadari anymore. Something else had taken root inside. She touched the wall, and a hidden door slid open. Inside was a chamber of bones. Human bones. Shadari bones. Other species too, half-rotted, half-preserved in strange fluid. And in the center stood a machine. Tall. Blav, the live. It pulsed with ancient symbols no one had read in 1,000 years. Valari placed her hand on it. The machine lit up. A deep voice, not hers, whispered through her mind. He follows. He remembers. But he is still flesh. She whispered back. Not for long. Back at the vault. Cade studied the DNA Ghost had pulled from Valari's blood. The data didn't make sense. It showed human strands and Shadari strands, but something else too. Something unknown. Ghost rotated the scan on the screen. There's a third pattern. Cade leaned forward. What is it? Ghost was quiet for a long moment. It matches nothing in our database. No species, no civilization, no time period. Cade narrowed his eyes. So where does it come from? Maybe. Before the stars. Those words chilled the air. Even Cade went silent. Ghost's voice dropped lower. This may not be about war anymore. This may be about evolution. Cade stood slowly. Then I'll end it before it begins. That night, Cade moved through the rooftops like a shadow. The armor made no sound. The sky was dark, and rain fell. Like ash, his eyes glowed faint blue under the helmet's visor. He had one target, one scent, and she was close. He jumped across a gap between buildings. Below, creatures walked through the night market, unaware that two old enemies were circling each other above them. Suddenly, Cade stopped. He saw her standing alone on a rooftop across the gap. Valari, but her form was different now. Taller, her hair gone. Her eyes black. Bones poked slightly through her back, like wings waiting to grow. She looked at him, and smiled. I warned you. The universe changes. You stayed the same. Cade took a step forward. Wrong. I changed too. She raised a hand. The wall exploded between them. The shockwave threw Cade back, but the armor held strong. Dust and heat blasted around him. Valari leapt through the smoke. claws forming from her hands. She was faster now, stronger, not just shape-shifting, becoming something new. They clashed in midair. Metal struck bone. Sparks lit the night. Her claws scratched the armor, but couldn't break it. Cade stabbed forward, the blue blade slicing. Across her side. She screamed, a sound that didn't sound human. They hit the rooftop, rolling across the ground. Fail, AR. I pulled away, holding her side. Black blood dripped to the floor. You can't stop evolution, she hissed. I don't need to, Cade said, stepping closer. I just need to end you. She vanished in a burst of shadow light, an ancient teleport trick. But this time, she left a trail. Her blood. Cade touched the spot where she vanished. The scent was stronger now. Deeper. And something else was mixed in. Fear. He smiled behind the visor. Even gods bleed. The monstrous truth. The trail of black blood led to the old ruins outside the city. Cade moved fast, wind slicing around him as he crossed the dry flats of Talros 9. His armor absorbed the dust and heat, keeping him focused, sharp. Every drop of blood on the ground glowed faintly under his helmet's sensors. She was bleeding. She was running. And she was afraid. But the ruins she ran to were older than any map. They weren't Shadari. They weren't human. They were something else. The sky above the ruins was quiet. No ships, no satellites, not even wind. Cade stood at the edge of a cracked stone archway. Strange markings glowed across the stone symbols, not made by any known species. The writing pulsed, alive, like it could still feel things walking near it. He walked inside. The air was cold, the light dim. The further he went, the more he felt it a pressure on his mind. Like whispers behind the walls. Like something was watching him through time. The center of the ruins. He saw her. The all AR. She stood before a massive machine, unlike anything he'd seen. It was shaped like a cocoon, floating above the ground, wrapped in bones and dark energy. It pulsed like a heart. She turned when he entered. Her body had changed again. Her skin was almost metallic now, her eyes fully black, her limbs too long. She was no longer Val, ARI. She was becoming something else. You should have stayed dead, she said softly. You should have burned with earth. Cade didn't move. I came to end you, not watch you become another nightmare. Valari stepped closer. Her voice was deeper now, like 1,000 echoes speaking at once. You think this is a nightmare? This is salvation. Cade's grip tightened around his blade. You betrayed Earth. You killed billions. Don't speak of salvation. Valari looked up at the cocoon. You still don't see it, do you? Earth was the first crack. The galaxy is broken. We, the Shadari, we tried to fix it with lies and peace. It didn't work. So I turned to the old blood. She raised her hands. The cocoon opened slightly, revealing a shape inside. It looked like a being tall and thin, wrapped in shadows. Its face was covered. Its chest didn't move. It wasn't alive. But it wasn't dead either. Cade stepped back. What is that? Valari's voice became a whisper. The first mind, a being from before stars. A species that saw the future and chose to die, until I brought one back. Cade stared at the thing inside the cocoon. He felt it in his bones. A fear that went beyond war or death. You're not evolving, he said. You're resurrecting a monster. Valari's smile twisted. You say that like you're not one. She raised her arm and black lightning shot toward Cade. He rolled aside, the energy slamming into a pillar, turning it to ash. He launched forward, slicing with his blade. Sparks flew as the metal met her new flesh. They clashed again, blade. V's claw, armor versus ancient bone. Valari screamed, not in pain, but in power. Her strength was inhuman now. Cade could barely block her hits. His armor cracked in places. Blood filled his mouth. Still, he stood. Still, he fought. "You think you're a god," he said. "But gods don't bleed this much." He stabbed forward his blade sinking into her chest. She gasped. Her body froze, but she didn't fall. She grabbed his arm, her eyes glowing. "If I die, he wakes." Cade looked at the cocoon. It was pulsing faster now. The being inside was moving. Suddenly, Ghost's voice came through his earpiece. "Cade, we intercepted the energy signal. That machine is broadcasting into deep space. It's calling others." Cade's voice was weak, but steady. "How many? We don't know. But this is no longer about her. If that thing wakes, it won't stop with Talros 9. Villari fell to her knees, black blood pouring from her chest. She laughed. "It's too late. You're just a man. You can't stop what's coming." Cade stepped back, breathing hard. "You're wrong." He pulled out a glowing cube, the backup core from Ghost's vault, a detonation device tied to the ruins. "I'm not just a man." He dropped it. The floor began to hum. Even blood has memory. The countdown began the moment. Cade dropped the detonation. Cube. 10 minutes. That's all he had. The air inside the ancient ruin crackled with growing energy. The cocoon began to shake, pulsing harder. Whatever was inside. The first mind was waking. VLAR. I lay on the ground, blood spilling from her wound. Her body kept shifting, trying to heal. But even her stolen evolution couldn't stop what was coming. Cade stood over her, blade still glowing, breath ragged. "You took Earth," he said quietly. "You took my sister, my people, my past, but you won't take the future." Villari looked up, eyes dim. "You think destroying this will save you? You're still just a man." Cade kneeled down beside her. "Exactly. A man who remembers. A man who bleeds. A man who doesn't run." He stood and turned toward the cocoon. The walls shook. The floor cracked. Dark tendrils of energy reached out from the machine, trying to touch him, testing his fear. He didn't move. He just raised his blade. In his ear, Ghost's voice returned. "Cade, you don't have time. If you stay, the blast will take you with it." Cade smiled faintly. "I know." Ghost was silent. "You've done enough," Ghost finally said. "You don't have to be the last piece." Cade shook his head. "She burned Earth. I let her run. I let her hide. I let her change." He looked down at his hands. "But I remember what it smelled like, the fire, the blood. And I promised I'd never let it happen again." He stepped toward the cocoon. "Even blood has memory, so let it remember this." The cocoon burst open. The being inside began to rise tall, dark, eyes like collapsed stars. It didn't speak. With a voice. It spoke with feeling, ancient, cold, like a grave waking up. It looked at Cade. And Cade stared right back. "You don't belong in this galaxy," Cade whispered. "So I'll send you back to dust." He drove the blade straight into the machine's heart. Light exploded outward. Screams filled the air. His, the things, the worlds. Above Talros 9. Ships trembled. Satellites blacked out. A column of light burst from the ruins, piercing the sky like a final scream from a forgotten god. Then silence. Later, the ruins were gone. Nothing remained but scorched stone and broken ground. Villari's body was never found. Neither was Cade's. Some say he died in the explosion. Others say the armor protected him, and he disappeared into the stars. But one thing was certain. The signal stopped. Whatever that thing was, whatever was coming, it didn't rise. Because someone remembered. Someone Stood. Someone chose to burn the past before it could become the future. Years later, on a quiet station orbiting a new human colony, a child sat with his grandfather, looking at an old blade in a glass case. Who did this belong to? The child asked. The old man smiled. They say it belonged to last ghost of Earth. A man who remembered things others wanted to forget. Is he still out there? The old man looked up at the stars. If he is, I hope we never need him again. Thebend.